My ex's mom smiled and said, "Want to see?" I didn't even blink, and that was my first mistake. I hadn't planned on stopping the car. I had just come to drop off a box of things my ex had forgotten when she moved out. Letters, a sweater, a framed photo we once pretended did matter. I told myself I'd leave it at the gate, text her, and disappear again. But then her mom opened the door. She looked different, not older, not tired, just calmer. Like someone who had already survived the worst and learned how to smile afterward. She studied me for a second longer than polite. Then she smiled and said, "Want to see?" I didn't even blink. I don't know why. Maybe because some doors, once opened, don't feel like choices anymore. She stepped aside, and I walked in. The house smelled exactly the same: warm wood, coffee, something floral. Memories hit me in quiet punches. I had spent years here, laughing in this hallway, arguing in this living room, pretending love could be permanent if we ignored the cracks. Her mom closed the door gently behind me. "So," she said softly, "you finally came back." I know, she interrupted, not unkindly. "You always were honest to a fault." That line stung. My ex used to say the same thing. Said my honesty hurt more than lies. She took the box from my hands and placed it on the table, but she didn't open it. Instead, she looked at me again. This time her smile was polite. It was curious. "You look thinner," she said. "So do you," I replied without thinking. Her eyebrow lifted, not offended. Amused. "Well," she said, "heartbreak does that to people." We stood there, the silence stretching, not awkward, just heavy. Like something unspoken was sitting between us, listening. "You can sit," she said, pointing to the couch. I did. She did sit right away. She walked to the window, pulled the curtain back a little, letting late afternoon light spill across the room. When she finally turned around, the light caught her face just right, and that's when it hit me. This wasn't just my ex's mom. She was a woman who had lived, loved, lost, and learned how to carry it with grace. "I always liked you," she said suddenly. I looked up. "You did hide it." She smiled again. "No, I never do." That honesty again. "She broke you," she continued, softer now. "Did she?" I hesitated, then nodded. "She broke herself too," her mom said. "Some people don't know how to stay when things get real." I laughed quietly. She said the same about me. Her mom turned, walked over, and sat on the chair opposite me, not too close, not too far. "Maybe," she said, "you were both right." Our eyes met, and for half a second, something passed between us. Not desire. Not yet. Something deeper, recognition. "You know," she said, crossing her legs slowly. "After you left, the house felt empty in a strange way." I swallowed. "I did think you'd notice." "I notice everything," she said. "Especially what my daughter ignores." That line stayed with me. She stood up again. "Come," she said. "There's something I want to show you." I hesitated this time. "Show me what?" She smiled, same words as before. "You'll see." She walked toward the hallway. I followed. Each step felt heavier than the last. The walls were lined with old family photos. My ex as a child. Her parents younger, happier. A life before mistakes. She stopped in front of a door. "This room," she said, "hasn't been opened in years." She turned the handle. Inside was a small room, clean, simple. A desk. A window. Boxes stacked neatly. It felt like a place frozen in time. "This was my room," she said quietly, "before I became just someone's mom." I looked at her, really looked at her. "And now?" I asked. She met my eyes. "Now," she said, "I'm remembering who I was." The air changed. She did touch me. I did touch her. But the space between us felt charged, like a question neither of us dared ask out loud. "I shouldn't be here," I said. She nodded. "Probably not. But you are still here," she added. I did answer. She smiled, not playful now. Thoughtful. "Sometimes," she said, Life puts the wrong people in our path at the wrong time, just so we can meet the right ones later. That is when I realized something terrifying. This wasn't a mistake waiting to happen. This was a choice forming quietly between two people who understood loss a little too well, and neither of us stepped away. I stayed longer than I should have. That room, the one she said was hers before she became just someone's mom, felt like a confession. It was seductive. It was vulnerable. And somehow that made it more dangerous. She closed the door behind us, not fully, just enough that it did swing open. I did mean to trap you in nostalgia, she said, almost apologetic. You did, I replied. I walked in on my own. She studied me again, the way people do when they are deciding whether to trust a thought they shouldn't be having. You always were good at taking responsibility, she said. And you were always good at noticing, I shot back. She laughed softly. The sound filled the room and lingered, like it wanted to stay. She moved to the desk and ran her fingers over the surface. I used to write here, she said. Stories. Letters I never sent. Plans that never happened. What kind of plans? I asked. She looked at me, the selfish kind. That word landed hard. I stopped being selfish the day I became a mother, she continued, or at least I thought I did. There was no accusation in her voice, just honesty. You don't stop being a person when you become a parent, I said quietly. Her eyes softened. No one ever told me that. Silence again, but this one felt warmer. She leaned against the desk, arms crossed loosely. You know, she said, when my daughter brought you home the first time, I knew. Knew what? That you would last. I blinked at us, comforting. She smiled, not because you weren't good, because you were too real. She runs from real. I exhaled. That hurt in a familiar way. She loved you. Her mom added quickly. In the only way she knows how. I know, I said. That is why it hurt. Her gaze did leave my face. And yet you were still gentle when you talk about her. Anger did to fix anything, I replied. So I stopped carrying it. Something shifted in her expression then. Respect, maybe. Or recognition. You've grown, she said. So have you, I answered. This time, she did to deflect it. She stepped closer. Not close enough to touch, just close enough that I could smell her perfume subtle, not trying to impress anyone. This is where it gets complicated, she said softly. I know, I replied. Do you? She asked. Because I don't think you do. She reached past me and picked up one of the boxes stacked near the wall, opened it. Inside were notebooks, old photos. A life paused. I stayed, she said, flipping through a notebook. In this house, in this role, in this version of myself. She looked up. And you left. I did have a choice, I said. You always have a choice, she replied. You just chose yourself. I did to defend it. I envied that, she admitted. For a long time, that confession hung between us, fragile and real. I am not here to ruin anything, I said finally. I just wanted to return a box. She smiled faintly. Funny how the smallest reasons open the biggest doors. She placed the notebook back and closed the box. You should go, she said. I nodded. Relief and disappointment collided in my chest. I turned toward the door. That thing I said earlier, she added. About wanting to show you. I paused. Yes? She met my eyes. I wasn't talking about the room. My pulse spiked. Then what were you talking about? She walked past me, back into the hallway. I followed again, against my better judgment. She led me to the kitchen this time. Sunlight poured in, catching dust in the air like floating thoughts. She stopped by the counter and faced me. I wanted to see, she said slowly, if you'd look at me the way you used to look at her. I froze. That is not. I know, she interrupted gently, and that is why I asked. She stepped closer now, close enough that I could feel her warmth. And did I? She asked. I did to answer right away. Honesty had already ruined one relationship. No point lying now. Yes, I said. For a second. Her breath caught, just barely. And then? she whispered. And then I realized, I continued, that it was the same. Her eyes searched my face, bracing for rejection. It was nostalgia, I said. It was something else. Something dangerous, she asked. Something human. We stood there, inches apart, neither moving. This can't happen, she said, more to herself than to me. I know, I replied. But wanting does stop just because something is wrong, she added. No, I agreed. It usually gets louder. Her hand lifted, hesitated, then dropped back to her side. Tell me something, she said. If I was to her mother, would you still be standing here? The question was a knife. I took a breath. Yes. She closed her eyes. That was the moment everything changed. The doorbell rang. We both flinched. She opened her eyes, suddenly distant. That is her, she said. My stomach dropped. Your daughter? She said she might stop by. She continued, already moving toward the door. I did think she would. Panic, guilt, reality all at once. I should leave, I said quickly. Yes, she agreed. You should. But she did move aside immediately. Instead, she looked at me one last time. This, she said quietly, doesn't leave this house. I understand, I said. And you don't come back, she added. I nodded, even though it hurt more than I expected. She stepped aside. I walked past her. As I reached the front door, I heard my ex's voice outside, familiar, casual, unaware. I paused, hand on the handle. Behind me, her mother spoke softly. Thank you, she said. For what? I whispered back. For reminding me, she replied, that I am still alive. I opened the door and stepped out just as my ex turned toward me, surprise flashing across her face. What are you doing here? She asked. I smiled politely, dropping off a box. Behind her, through the doorway, I saw her mother watching us, calm, unreadable, carrying a secret that suddenly weighed more than any box ever could. And I knew. This one's over. Not even close. I did see her again for weeks, not my ex. Not her mother. The house disappeared from my routine like a street you stop taking after an accident, still there, just avoided. Life went back to normal in the dullest way. Work. Evenings. Silence. The kind that hums when something unfinished is waiting. I told myself it was done, that whatever almost happened was sealed behind that door, buried under responsibility and reason. Then my phone rang. Her mother's name lit up the screen. I stared at it until it stopped ringing. 10 minutes later, a text followed. I won't keep secrets anymore. If you want answers, come. If not, I understand. No explanation. No pressure. I sat there for a long time. Then I grabbed my keys. The house looked the same, but it felt different, like it knew something was about to end. She opened the door before I knocked. You came, she said. I did promise anything, I replied. She nodded. Neither did I. We did go inside right away. She stepped onto the porch instead, closing the door behind her. I want to ask you to stay, she said, but I need to say this once, out loud. I waited. I've spent my life choosing the safe thing, she continued. The correct thing. The thing that would disappoint anyone. She met my eyes, and I've never been more lonely. I swallowed. This isn't about loneliness. No, she agreed. It is about truth. She took a breath. I felt something for you, not because you were her ex, not because of nostalgia, but because you saw me. That does to make it right, I said. I know, she replied, but it makes it real. Silence stretched again, but this time it did ache. It settled. I called you, she said, because I won't carry this quietly anymore. I won't pretend it didn't matter. I nodded slowly. It mattered. She exhaled like she'd been holding that breath for weeks. But, I added, we don't get to act on everything that matters. A sad smile touched her lips. No, we don't. The front door opened behind her. My ex stepped out. I froze. She looked between us, suspicion already blooming. What is going on? Her mother turned first, calm, steady. Nothing you need to worry about, she said. My ex laughed sharp. That is never true. Her eyes landed on me. Why are you here? I did dodge it. Because I was invited. By my mother? She snapped. Yes. The air tightened. She turned to her mom. Is this some kind of joke? Her mother did flinch. No. Then explain, my ex demanded. Her mom looked at me once. Just once. Then she said, I asked him to come because I owed myself honesty. My ex stared. About what? About how empty I've been, her mother said, and how I don't want to live that way anymore. My ex scoffed. So this is about you now? Yes, her mother replied gently. For once. The words hit harder than shouting ever could. My ex turned back to me, eyes burning. Did you come back for her? No, I said immediately. Then why are you here? She pressed. I did answer. Because some truths don't belong to everyone. Her mother stepped forward. That is enough. My ex laughed again, but this time it cracked. You are choosing him over me? Her mother shook her head. I am choosing myself. The porch fell silent. Finally, my ex turned away. Unbelievable. She walked down the steps, stopped, then looked back at me. You always did have a way of complicating things. Then she left. The door closed behind her absence. I turned to her mother. This ends now. She nodded. I know. We stood there a moment longer. No secrets, she said. No regrets. Just truth. Truth hurts, I replied. She smiled softly. But it heals faster than lies. I stepped back. Goodbye. She did stop me this time. As I walked away, I felt lighter, not because I got what I wanted, but because I did betray who I was. Weeks later, I heard through mutual silence that she sold the house. Moved somewhere smaller, somewhere hers. I never saw her again. But sometimes when honesty costs you something, you walk away richer than you arrived. And every now and then, when I think of her smile and that first quiet question, want to see? I realize she was inviting me into a room. She was inviting me into a truth.